Just when I thought I had seen it all, just when I thought the mainstream media could not get any lower, just when I thought the virtue signaling couldn't get any more pathetic. We have two new contenders stepping in at the end of the year, putting on their aprons to bake a fresh pound my brown cake. We're going to start with Time Magazine, a magazine most people don't realize still exists. Time Magazine, believe it or not, used to be a big deal. Used to be viewed as an honor to make the cover. Barack Obama, Michael Jackson, Ellen DeGeneres made the cover of Time Magazine when she came out of the closet on her sitcom back in the late 90s. It used to be an honor to be named the Time Magazine Person of the Year. Today, the publication is a complete joke. It's trash. They cannot give away copies of this garbage. Time Magazine used to sell millions of copies on the newsstand. Today, they're down to a cool 60,000. To close out 2022, Time Magazine published an informative piece describing the newest violator of the first woke commandment: thou shalt not commit mythical racism. Who is the violator? You'll be surprised to know it's not a person going on trial here, not even a birthing person. When it comes to New Year's resolutions, what is the number one resolution people make every year? Exercise. Starting January 1st, when me and the dog are on our exercise walks, we will see a gigantic increase in foot traffic throughout the neighborhood. This increase in foot traffic, it lasts for about a week. Everyone forgets about their resolution. They go back to eating their woke wieners. According to Time Magazine, though, you are no longer allowed to commit to exercising. You are no longer allowed to better your health. No. Come on, guys. Didn't you know that exercising is racist? Yeah. The origins of exercise, according to Time Magazine, are rooted in white supremacy. The roots trace all the way back to the days of Moses when he made the Israelites jog across the Red Sea. This is obviously racist! It's biblical white flight. They were running away from the biblical black man. The Red Sea would never part for a marginalized group. Normally, accusing exercise of mythical racism would be the most ridiculous story of the day, but we have another contender fighting for their spot in the category of shitfuck of the year. Oddly enough, it's another organization that used to be prominent, used to be relevant in the mainstream. But just like Time Magazine, they are struggling to hold on to their relevancy. I'm talking about the WBC, the Woke Boxing Council. Last night, I received an email from a young man who's 19 years old. He was talking about how the NBA is not the same as it was when he was growing up, which, for a kid that young, he's talking about the NBA from 10 years ago. Of course, I explained to him how great the NBA was in the 90s before he was born. Kids that age, they miss the golden era of the NBA. Just like people my age miss the golden era of boxing in the 70s and 80s. But at least I was lucky enough to catch the last great days of boxing throughout the 90s. Today, the sport of boxing is an embarrassment. When Jake Paul is the biggest star in your sport, you have a serious problem. Boxing is a sport heavily reliant on star power. Putting two guys in a boxing ring and having them punch each other in the face for 12 rounds, it's just not all that exciting. No one is paying $100 to watch Tom fight Jerry, except, of course, Max Kellerman. Maxie is obsessed with boxing. He loves watching two shirtless men hug on each other. But for the rest of us normal people, you need star power to convince us to part with our money. Put Floyd Mayweather in the ring against Conor McGregor, I'll pay to watch that fight. Since the retirement of Floyd Mayweather, there has been a serious lack of star power in the sport of boxing. Tyson Fury is the current WBC heavyweight champion, supposedly the biggest draw in the sport. Tyson Fury does not draw shit on pay-per-view. Throughout his career, he has generated just over 2 million pay-per-view buys here in America. When Mike Tyson fought Roy Jones Jr. in an exhibition 2 years ago, I think it was, he drew 1.6 million for one fight, a fight that didn't even count. That's the difference between a superstar and someone who's just an elite boxer. But that's okay. That's okay. Executives at the Woke Boxing Council, they realize the sport of boxing is struggling. They realize there's a lack of star power. They understand the future of boxing is bleak if they can't create new stars. So they have come up with a brilliant plan. Oh, this plan. This plan is revolutionary. Now, if you were running the WBC and you needed to create new stars, what would you do? If it were me, I would be scouting the top boxers in the country. I'd be looking for the most charismatic fighters, the best shit talkers, boxers who would command people's attention. Floyd Mayweather, he was not the biggest draw in boxing because he was an entertaining fighter. Matter of fact, he was the complete opposite. You watch a Floyd Mayweather fight, most of them are boring. He was a defensive fighter. He spent most of the match tiring his opponent out. Floyd Mayweather, though, he was so successful because he was a brilliant promoter. He knew how to generate heat. He knew how to sell a fight. He was brilliant using the media to bring all the attention onto himself. The WBC has developed a brilliant strategy to find their next Floyd Mayweather. Starting in 2023, boxing will begin their search for the next superstar. We are looking for that special someone who will generate hundreds of millions of dollars on pay-per-view. But there's just one catch, one tiny little caveat. Gay white males need not apply. Straight black males need not apply. Matter of fact, the WBC has made it abundantly clear they're not interested in biological male or females, period. The Woke Boxing Council, they feel they have spotted a need in the marketplace that needs to be filled. This afternoon, they made an exciting announcement. Starting in 2023, the WBC will launch the Transgender division in boxing. What? Transgender boxing? Okay. I guess that will be a first, which, as you guys know, the shit fucks love a first. The WBC president made it very clear no biological male would be allowed to fight a biological female. There will be no scientific test. There will be no measuring testosterone levels to determine who's a man or a woman. No biologist will be needed to confirm gender. The WBC has devised a foolproof method to determine gender. If your birth certificate says male, you're fighting against other dudes. Now, most media outlets are praising him for this decision. This man is obviously very smart. He understands men have a competitive advantage over women. Yeah, no shit. We've been saying the same thing here on the channel for the last 2 years. Where was all this competitive advantage talk last year when Leah Thomas was crushing the dreams of young women in women's swimming? Now, I'm not going to sit here and praise the WBC for making a common sense decision, because I highly doubt their intentions were good. There is not a state boxing commission in this country that is going to sanction a fight between a man and a woman. I don't even think you could get that fight sanctioned in California. There's too much liability. The risk is too high. Now, when asked why they were starting the transgender division, the WBC explained to the Telegraph, "We are doing this in the name of inclusion." Inclusion. Another woke boner word. I just love me some inclusion. Mix it up with a little diversity and some equity sprinkles. You have yourself a nice woke smoothie. The WBC has issued a global casting call. They are inviting transgender boxers from around the world to compete in this new division. Now, it's going to be interesting to see how many people apply. But what's going to be even more interesting is how many people will watch. You can't convince people to watch regular boxing. You think people are going to pay to watch two dudes dressed in sports bras fight each other? Maybe they will, but I have my doubts. Now, to be completely fair, if you're going to include transgender athletes in sports, especially a dangerous sport like boxing where you're constantly hitting each other in the face, this would be the way to do it. Create a division specifically for them and let them compete against each other. I mean, this is much better than having men who are embarrassing failures when competing against other dudes wake up one morning pretending to be a woman just so they can win at something. So, if you're going to do something like this is the way to go. But for some reason, and maybe I'm just a skeptic, but for some reason, this feels like a virtue signal to me. This feels like a publicity stunt by the WBC to bring attention onto the sport of boxing. Maybe I missed the outcry, but I just haven't seen the demand for transgender boxing. Another thing, if biological males are only allowed to compete against each other, why do we need a transgender division? That rule's been in place for decades. Dudes fight dudes, women fight women. Only difference here is the dudes in this division will be dressed as women and the women will be wearing a jockstrap. But other than that, it's business as usual. I don't know. Doesn't make sense to me, but what the hell do I know? What do you think? Transgender boxing, will the WBC be able to find enough fighters to fill the division? And if they do, is this something that is going to draw television ratings? Will this generate money, revenue on pay-per-view? I don't know. Let me know. Sound off in the comments below. Make sure to like and subscribe. Click the notification bell to receive all notifications from the channel. Best way to contact me is by email at btlkc84@gmail.com, kc_BTL84 on Twitter. I'll see you guys tomorrow.